For those with good taste.
Dude, it's been a great week for me. So Wednesday, I did go and see this, and
I know you hit it in the theaters.
Yeah, I went and saw it in the theaters. So I'm interested to hear your take because you watched it on like a lowly peasant-sized screen, while I watched it on like
disrespecting my bravia, bro.
while I watched it on like the grandest stage of them all.
Listen,
WrestleMania next week, guys. Check it out.
Sure, you got to see it in the environment that it was made for.
Yeah.
But I got to see it in the comfort of my own home.
Sure thing. Yeah, dude. My seats were mighty comfortable. There was nobody within 6 feet of me. They brought back the popcorn.
What'd your butter situation look like?
Yeah, that was a down. Well, it was like I think it was a downer, but at the same time, it wasn't the worst because I still had the popcorn. But you know, I'm not gonna bore everybody with the details of how I enjoy my popcorn. But I just like an even mix. I like to sometimes even get up in the middle of it and like re-butter.
Ooze it on.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't gonna judge you for it.
They're giving you like cups of like cold butter to bring. Like it's just it hits a little different if you ask me.
And I think it's probably a little bit of disrespect to bring cold butter to this type of event, brother.
Cold's probably not right either. It's probably like room temperature.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, whatever that means. Is that like a country thing?
Yeah, I always thought it had to do with like Hollywood shows. I have no idea.
Oh, you're thinking about 90210.
Yeah, 90210.
Good.
Like I heard he was hot. If you're lukewarm, then it kind of means you're on the downside.
Well, no, he's that dude. Fine. Pause, but he was hot.
Don't know whatever.
So Kong vs. Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Kong, however you put it. I got to see it in the movie theater on this massive fucking screen with some dope Dolby audio, and I found myself like halfway through being like, damn, I'm happy I went to the movie theater for this.
Yeah,
like,
I could see that.
Like, man, I caught like 5 or 10 minutes of it on a regular TV the day after, and it looked great. Like visually still looked great, but dude, there's something about like when they are roaring at each other,
trembling sound.
Yeah, it's
I already know what you're talking about.
It was great, man. Like that's what movie theaters. I just found myself sitting there like, damn. Like there's people who aren't gonna go back to the movies. Well, you're gonna be forced to because this HBO thing only lasts for this year, right? And then it goes back.
And you can certainly imagine that with the results that they're seeing from this film, if it does well, they have to bring it back.
The theater was full. This was totally. So I've gone to the movies twice. Pandemic, post-pandemic, however you look at this time period.
We're still
right?
in the pandemic.
And the first time I went, it was around Christmas, and it was me and just the person I went with that were in the theater. Like, it were completely empty.
It sounds
which
romantic.
Was really unique and pretty cool. And yeah, dude, like, there was a handy or two. Like, I didn't bring the butter, but I brought the lube. Yeah. So we watched that, and it was like a really unique feeling. And then this time I go, and I'm smart about the movies. I've gone enough times, like, they have the handicap seats that have like they're accompanied.
You get some
chairs,
spacing
right?
there.
And nobody ever buys those because they feel like a dickhead. Because the whole rule of thumb there is like if you buy it and somebody who's handicapped shows up, you obviously have to fucking move. And who wants to be a part of that?
Yeah, but is that bad?
No, because it's like it's pretty reasonable.
Otherwise,
man.
that seat's going unused.
Yeah, well, that's my point. And they're usually really good seats.
Very comfy.
In this one, it's dead center of the theater. Like it's perfect.
You don't get any better.
So we took those seats. Nobody sitting near us. We had the whole 6 feet around us because they give you space for the chairs, right?
Got to be socially distanced.
No, for the wheelchairs I was talking about.
Well, socially distanced.
No, dude. So like they have like those seats really close that have their own little section.
Yeah.
Like that. There was only one seat separating. I thought
so.
It was
That's like 2.5 feet.
Yeah,
that's
so
not good.
It was a little tight, but they like. I'm still wondering where the fuck my AMC stock's going. If the movie theater did as well as I think it did this week, like I should be making some money right now.
You should be making some money, and we should probably see some adjustments being made with the one seat thing. But who cares? You got to see it in theater, and I'm sure
you saw it on a peasant small screen.
I saw it on a very good screen. Don't you? I'm telling you. The people who sold me that TV are going to be very upset with you.
Well, dude, I'm not quality. Like, it's not a quality thing. I'm just. This is strictly speaking of size, dude. I'm a size guy.
Size in this case matters, and I'm sure it felt a lot better going into it.
Yeah, no, I felt great going in, and it felt even better coming out.
Yeah, I would imagine it did because coming out of it, I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, man, that would be really loud in a theater. There was just instances where Godzilla and Kong are just screaming at each other, and you're like,
no subtitles.
No. Well,
subtitles.
I listen to closed caption, so I got the screams.
Okay,
yeah, 100%.
All right. It's just like, was it a person in the closed caption
but
just saying roar?
I love the closed caption because you miss a lot of things if you don't have it on. The amount of times that people are like, "Oh shit!" Like it's hilarious, and you get to catch it every time.
Okay.
But for me, I still enjoyed it, even though I didn't get to catch it in a theater. And for me, the juice was well worth the squeeze.
Mhm.
The wait was well worth it. And I can certainly see myself possibly taking the trek over to the movie theater to catch this and really appreciate it. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna go back for this one. This makes me want to go to the theater for Mortal Kombat though next month.
Certainly
So,
breaks down the floodgates.
and I also imagine like seeing how many people went to this. The immediate thought I had coming out was like, damn, Black Widow is probably gonna be huge come July. When more
people have been
are
waiting.
vaccinated and
Yeah.
like it's gonna be probably huge in July. I think the wait's gonna be like really built up at that point. We've done a really good job so far, Matt. I think of selling people without spoiling this movie.
But I think
It's time for
it's the only thing we can do now.
Yeah. Do you want to?
So 3, 2, 1, spoiler.
It's
Get the hell out of here if
fucking
you're not down.
handcuffs are off, dude. I'm gonna say whatever I want.
We're going at it, baby.
Yeah.
So Mechagodzilla.
Yeah. Well, do you want
No,
to jump
that was too
all
quick.
the way
That
to
was too
there?
quick.
Yeah,
No,
like,
I know.
Like
It
maybe
was the only thing I
I
wanted.
get what you usually come a little early on those things, so like
I was
get
so
it, dude.
surprised.
Yeah.
It just
You were. They spoiled it with pop figures like
nope.
a month earlier.
Nope. To me, that they've made
also
mistakes with pop figures that it doesn't do anything for
I
me.
knew Mechagodzilla was going to be a thing. I did think that it was potentially going to be made from like the body of a dead Godzilla.
Yeah.
So seeing it completely made of like machines, and they're using like the other Titans' brains to operate them.
Monster Zero.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool
Yeah.
tie-in. Just let's start from the beginning because I
Mhm.
have a terrible habit of just jumping to the end.
Coming early.
What were some of your initial thoughts when you got introduced to reintroduced to some of the characters?
I love Kong, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
That's gonna be my immediate thought from the first second. Like he just gets up on
His little montage in the morning.
Dude. There's something about Kong that is just like he's the everyman, dude.
Oh yeah.
Kong's just a dude.
The
He's
scene
a
had
dude,
everything.
She's a dude.
I'm a dude.
We're
Errol
all
a dude.
dudes.
I'm a dude. All right, we
Yeah.
won't do that.
Yeah.
But it lacked everything but him just scratching his ass in front of the camera. Like
Exactly.
It had it all.
That would have probably been too on the nose, but I would have got a chuckle out of that if he gave us a little like.
They
pick of the
did give
wedgie.
him. To me at first I was like he's a little too human, but then I also thought like, dude, if I'm this badass Titan, like I'm doing whatever I want. I'm for sure having that type of walk.
And like he's also, when you really get down to it, he spent most of his life around humans,
Yeah,
not around like his kind, right? His kind's
yeah.
been extinct for a lot.
it's like
of
reverse
time
Tarzan.
here. And that's why we end up finding out that he can fucking communicate,
Speak
right?
sign language.
Which is nuts. And
Holy
that,
shit.
that girl's great too.
I thought they nailed it with just about every character. The only one that, we always talk about storylines and subplots that we could probably go without.
Mhm.
While it was intricate and it was well understood, I didn't quite pull the Millie Bobby Brown card.
Yeah, she's the only issue with. She's not an issue. She performs well.
I thought she did really well.
She performs well. The people involved, the dude from Deadpool, the kid from Deadpool,
Yep.
who's grown up apparently and looks kind of the same, but not the same. I don't know.
He hasn't aged a
Um,
day. He just grew his hair out.
Yeah. So he's good in it. And then the other dude, what's his name? Right there, Brian Tyree Henry, Bernie. Yeah, the three of them,
Thought they
they're
did really
really
well.
charismatic. I think it's the best way I can put it. Like there's a good energy between them. It's funny, but the storyline doesn't feel like it needs to be there. To me, it felt a lot like, hey, we need to tie in some characters, some of the actual humans that we've cast in these roles and like paid a lot of money, because obviously the first Godzilla, you paid 3 pretty big actors and you don't end up like
Yeah.
bringing any of them back.
Yeah, you don't
right?
end up making any.
So any people like association you've established with that original movie, you never carried on. So in the second movie, you have to carry in the mother. I mean the mother father daughter
dynamic
right?
where you have the mother was the bad guy, savior, victim, or
Well,
villain
and
type
it does
thing.
give an immediate tie-in to why like Bernie has to be there. But then the fact that they're gonna be able to just get through these high security areas
That's where I
without
just
a
didn't get
single
it.
camera, a single person. Like you got stopped once in the very beginning, right?
It just didn't mesh for me. Like it seemed like this should have been way more high tech and secure than it was. The
Mhm.
fact that they were able to just kind of jump in as they pleased. I couldn't help but feel like they have to show us what's happening with Mecha, like how that entire story comes to play. And I guess you don't get that unless you have someone kind of tampering behind the scenes.
So at the end of the day, they're just a plot device. Like they're not actual like characters.
Yeah.
They're there for a plot device. And the thing I hate, and we don't want to skip ahead, I'll elaborate more, but I hate their impact on the plot.
Oh,
I do.
yes.
I do. It's probably my least favorite thing in this whole movie. It's the one downer I really have to say about it is It has a downer at the end. But with that being said, the build to get there, the fight scenes in this, man, it feels like motion capture these days is at such a level that
peak.
Because what you had was essentially two people. Like they just had two people probably dressed up.
Oh, you saying that Kong threw them hands like he was in the octagon?
Yes, and
Yeah.
he was. I mean, he had his whole moveset was taken out of UFC 3.
Yeah, 100%.
Like when I played
Superman
that game
punch,
every day, like that's how I was
clinch
knocking
game,
people out. Like
knee.
that.
Yeah, I get it.
Dude, he was in the second fight. He's trying to rear naked choke
Yes.
Godzilla
Takes
multiple
the back.
times.
Takes
like,
the back.
He's like riding this dude's back trying to catch a rear naked choke because he's like, how else would you put down an animal like that?
No,
He's
it was certainly confirmed that Kong had access to UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah,
like
he's
ESPN Plus, he had access to it all.
What it was is like he was pissed when he woke up in the morning at the beginning of the movie when he throws the fucking stick through like the fake environment they built for him because they usually play fights on those big ass screens. He's like, I wake up to Fight Pass, buddy. Like
you're sending me this little girl. I get it. You want me to make friends? Put my fights on.
Yeah, like we're just here to talk. I want a beer and I want my fights.
Let's get one thing straight. If it's not fight talk, I don't want it. But it just looked amazing from the boat scene. I was so nervous that as soon as we get underwater, it's not going to look as good. Mm-hmm. They hit it out of the park every time. So
the underwater, I thought that whole plan was fucking stupid. By the way, like if you had the option to fly him from the beginning,
I can tell you, apes don't like water.
I think they're bad parents.
Yes,
because that girl should have not been allowed.
Dude,
on those
they had
boats.
no tabs on that girl at all.
Well, and she's like on a boat that was definitely going to sink at some point.
Yeah, I mean, she got locked into a room that certainly was going to like capsize at some point.
So, like, their theory was we can navigate these water paths because you can't pass these like borders, these invisible borders in the ocean. Godzilla can't fly, like swim through them.
Yeah.
So they've acknowledged that he can sense the Titan. That's why they've been hiding him.
I mean, we've known that since
the beginning,
King of
first
Monsters,
movies, right?
Yeah, from the first movies.
So he's like they're hiding Kong. He's first time he's out in the open. You put a girl on a boat with him in the like basically you put him in the. It's like me and you. I use this analogy. It's like we're apex predators, right?
Yeah, 100%. I am.
But yes, you way more than me. But you put us in the ocean with a great white shark.
Yeah, there's levels to this
and like
game.
we aren't going to be able to keep up. It's the same thing where it's like Kong is an apex predator if you put him on the fucking ground.
You thought bring him into the ocean was a great idea?
Yeah, you know, like so just fucking fly him there. You would have had no problems because Godzilla, like the one place he can't get to you, he's got to be
air.
He's got to be very accurate if he was going to blow you out of the fucking air.
And he's kind of a dick when it comes to spitting out that electric fire, man.
He talk about a heel turn, dude.
Yeah, bro.
this guy bought the angle so much. Like,
brother,
he was trying as hard as Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2001 to be a heel, dude.
He went from intimidation methods to I'm just gonna break and destroy everything. Like it doesn't. You bring in Titans into my realm, I'm not having it, dude. I'm shutting everything down,
dude. The fight on the boats,
the vessels.
The thing that confused me there also, like I really really liked the action of this scene, but I thought the thought process around it just.
I have my reservations as well. We'll get into those.
Godzilla, I mean, King Kong has never swam before, I'd assume, right? Like on that level of swimming.
But I was counting; he was down there for like 6 minutes with no issue.
Yeah. He was like legitimately swimming. Like he was a natural.
He's got big lungs, but it's all relative. I don't think you can hold your breath for that long if you've never even tried.
Yeah, because everything of water he's ever walked in has been up to like his waist.
A waterfall. He's washing his ass or something like that. Like
exactly.
It's never
he's taking baths,
like
eating
ocean. Yeah, it's never ocean depths. And I don't know. There was a lot of just questionable decisions on their part, and it was also like you guys have dealt with Godzilla so many times. You thought a fleet of 4 destroyer vessels were going to do something like.
Well, they thought.
Where's the Armada?
They thought they had planes too. Dude, how. The fact that they were like, Kong's got to protect us, and his first thought was, I'm gonna take this human being in a jet.
I'm chucking it. Yeah. I'm chucking.
I don't give a fuck about the guy. And did they get that guy back? Because he just
the amount of people that have ejected, but then we were told that the boats are destroyed. All those people are dead.
It's worse than that. They did the documentary about World War II when those dudes when the boat sank and they got eaten up by all the sharks.
Yeah,
there's probably an actual event that's called. But where were they? The USS.
Well, Shark Week did an episode on it, and they basically just tested the theory if sharks would be hungry enough to eat that many people. And I'm like, it's a smorgasbord. What are you talking about? Like, it's
Yeah, dude, you put me at like a Fuddruckers and tell me to make my own burger. I'm gonna find a way to put as much shit on there as I can.
Like, just don't give me the tools to be my own weapon of destruction.
One of the best parts for me in this movie, and I hate to harp on it, your peasant screen, that maybe you didn't get as much of this as I did, but
we're scrapping. You and I are going Godzilla versus Kong
Okay.
right after we're done taping. I'm tired of your shit, dude.
So it's just when they finally convince Kong, like, and they get this little girl to like lie to her best friend,
bro, it's so painful.
Yeah,
it's like, let's fly him over to this cold ass place where he's got nowhere else to go.
Well, he was like Alexander Skarsgård, who they didn't really need to cast in this movie, but he's fine. Like,
what do you mean they didn't need to? Loved him.
He was
every
good.
minute of it. He was great.
But
he's like, just lie.
Like, he's just like, yeah, no, like, let's be real. You either get him in that fucking hole or he's dead. Like, I have flown him here, and they're not going to pay for him to go back.
I like how I said we lost our entire fleet. No, dude, they just flew away. How about you just bring them back? No, he's got to go.
You lost them. Like, Kong didn't do anything. You put him out there.
It's a byproduct of the system. He's got to go or he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they get this little girl to just lie to him.
Yeah.
And I loved how the mom was like, just tell him that there might be more like him. And she's like, family? And she's like, I don't fucking know. Like, it could be.
Once she convinced him, though, he was off it.
Oh, dude,
he couldn't have been fucking
didn't even
faster.
give it a second thought.
And dude, I really liked the Hollow Earth sequence, man. Getting there was great. You felt how intense it was, like from the gravity standpoint and all of that.
At one point, bro, I was holding my breath.
Yeah.
Just like subconsciously holding my breath because I'm like, what the fuck is gonna happen?
Yeah, and they shoot through this little plasma hole.
Something about a giant ape being thrown through gravity. I was like, dude, eventually gravity's gonna like come back, right? Like, how is he gonna get down?
Talk about like a proverbial like leap of faith, right?
Essentially, man, this man just threw himself, not even gracefully,
and then
he just lands into Hollow Earth.
So he gets down there, and it's like beautiful, like it's like green and like
Pangea.
vibrant and like all this great stuff, right?
It's beautiful.
And he's down there. He comes across these fucking birds or whatever they are, like these one of the more fucked up things I've seen in this world that they've created. And he just, like a boss, takes one out, grabs it, hits the other one, and then like rips it.
That other one didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm gone. You can stay here and fight this dude if you want to. Good luck, man. You had your head ripped off and your skull
just
eaten. Just, may I make another note? Do we need the hot chick whose dad is a billionaire?
Did you think it was funny that he never questioned that she never came back?
No, to me it made even less sense when he was like, yeah, okay, cool. Because it never registered like he got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. Yeah. But they didn't even make a mention of like, hey, your daughter's dead. Like, it never came up. But the new thing is hey, let's get this hot chick who's got her boobs out, and she's just gonna make comments like, oh, is the monkey gonna be okay? Is the monkey gonna save himself? And then she ends up being a bitch and she dies. Great.
I was convinced that was AOC the whole time. I was like, wow, they had AOC like start acting. Like I still to this day think it might be her because I don't know who it actually is.
Yeah, I don't know who it was either. But
I like her.
She played the role very well. But I'm just over seeing this. My dad's a badass. He gets what he wants.
The gravity scene was really cool when he like jumps from one rock and then like has to catch himself on the other side when like reverses.
Did you notice that was like a Kong hand?
Yeah,
it looked awesome.
I thought that was cool. And then we find out how he gets like the axe down below, which leads to like an all-time petty move by Godzilla. Because like Godzilla rolls up on, because I assume what happens here, right? So at this point, the daughter goes under Earth, and like we know doesn't have good intentions. She ends up collecting a sample, and from that sample, they send a bunch of data back to Earth, like regular Earth, not Hollow Earth, and it's used to download like final updates to Mechagodzilla, right?
Yeah. Now you have the eternal power source.
So what I assume happens is Godzilla this whole time is known there's a threat at these bases, right? And he's been trying to take it out. So he gets triggered by this new update to Mechagodzilla, but he goes there. But then all of a sudden he gets there and he's just like, wait, no, there's something else amiss here.
Is this motherfucker in my chair?
Yeah, like, is he? He went back. He thinks he's stepping foot down there. Like, I use that area, which leads me to another question really quick.
Using my toilet?
I'll segue and we'll get back to this super petty move. You know, because you told me you rewatched King of Monsters.
King of Monsters, yeah.
So in King of Monsters, they talk about like there's always been a belief that Godzilla uses Hollow Earth to travel the globe.
He had his own lair that looked like it was underwater, like warp tunnels.
Yeah,
worm tunnels.
Which is basically like the other axis of the Hollow Earth. Do they all lead back to where Kong is? Because like Godzilla wouldn't he just swims into this like, and then all of a sudden he's flying through.
No, so that's where I think that it's like an exit. It's like a highway system.
So there's different spots that you can get off at.
Yeah,
okay, that
and
was
I
a major
think
question I had.
I think that the one thing that they never really clarified was how you could access Hollow Earth, because
they knew of this one in Antarctica.
where you didn't have to go through water or anything, and you were able to just go through the surface.
And we knew there was one on Skull Island because that's what Kong was there to protect.
Yep, and I love the entire tying together of how Kong was safe on Skull Island. It all made a ton of sense, because when he gets to this island, you could kind of see him being the king of this.
The alpha.
Being the guy who runs everything.
So back to
I think it's just an exit system.
The uber pettiness is like Godzilla gets there, and instead of being like, wait, there was an issue over this way, he's like, maybe the issue is what I felt down in like.
Nope. I genuinely think he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put a pin in that. I'll deal with that shit in a second, bro. What are you doing? You just chilling? And he just, no, you can't have that, bro. Just start shooting everything through the earth.
Like through Earth. He just puts a big ass hole, and I love that it's like Kong looking up, like, I have shit to deal with down here, but no, that ain't it. That ain't it, bro. Like, we're gonna fight. Let's square up.
And we're ready for round 2.
Yeah.
Because, man, when I look at how we've come to this, you just gotta kind of wonder, like, okay, eventually, are they... Because you can't have a fight with two good guys. Right?
No.
Ultimately,
you can. Like, I think they both, at the end of the day, there's clearly a heel and face dynamic in this.
Sure.
But you do end up with like the double turn.
This was like eerily similar to Batman versus Superman.
You think so?
Where you get two good guys, one of them's kind of questionable, makes weird decisions, goes full heel. Not going to point out who that is. But then, in their fight, they realize that, neither one of them's going to submit. And then out of nowhere, Doomsday comes over and just fucks everything up and starts kicking ass.
So there's obvious parallels. The only difference I would say is, like, the thing about that is
that this movie was good.
Yeah, there's that for one. But like Batman, I think you could understand his paranoia, right?
Yeah.
Because he's able to articulate his point, whereas Godzilla, for the most part, just comes off as a bully. And that's the one reason I think you needed to have Millie Bobby Brown in this movie, is because her character and the little girl who's with Kong are what's humanizing those characters, right? They're what's vocalizing the storyline, that their perspective on why they're not bad guys.
They're going to bat for them.
Millie Bobby Brown's telling you, like, Godzilla saved us all these times. So there's clearly something else going on that's pissing him off. He's
got a reason to destroy these facilities. Like, it's not erratic attacks.
No, he's not targeting
strategic.
humans. Like, he's here to protect us. So there's something else going on, right? So I think that you that's the one reason Millie Bobby Brown's really there. Okay. And that's why I call her a plot device, because it's like she doesn't really serve any major purpose to the plot other than to give you a way to communicate some of Godzilla's perspective through a human form.
And possibly his intentions.
Yeah. So you get this final fight that is just fucking balls to the wall. Hong Kong or whatever they're in just gets...
This is where you can shit on my TV, because I could only imagine the feeling of watching this in theaters, because the sound effects... Man.
That final roar between, like... So before we get there, it's like the fight is crazy.
We're gonna get there.
Like I said, you get a decent amount of it in the trailer, right? Yeah. It's just an extended version of what you get in the trailer. Some of the biggest moments are in it. Man. Kong's whole fighting style in this is literally just like jumping off of buildings and throwing super kicks and Superman punches.
Just Godzilla's an asshole, bro. Just flame electricity all over the place. And it's like, nah, man, no hand-to-hand combat.
So you end up with this one, like the first fight, it's clearly Godzilla wins, right? Yeah. Kong is kicked to shit, dropped off.
He tried to drown him, dude.
Right. The second one is they basically tell you, like,
oh yeah, he said Godzilla won. Kong won round 2.
He does, but like I kind of hate it because he wins,
and they take it away from him.
It's like a roll up finish in wrestling, dude. It's like you got the win, but like you immediately took it away if you beat the shit out of me right afterwards.
Exactly.
So it's like Kong gets the win, but then immediately Godzilla is like dislocating this dude's fucking arm. He's put his foot. Dude, how definitive is that?
I'm putting my foot on your chest,
and then he roars in his face, and like Kong roars back, but it's like, bro, like I could fucking fire breathe your face right now.
What did you think of that? Because to me, if they kind of really stated that if Kong didn't submit, he would be dealt with, and Godzilla gave him that moment. He's technically given him 2 moments to submit. And he's just so defiant in that moment, but he still doesn't finish the job.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that, like, he has grown. It's like fighting, right? So me and you, before we got on camera, we're talking about how Connor and Nate have been like talking shit online to each other, and it's been really funny, right? So like that's a rivalry that's very, very tense. But every time they fight, like there's pictures at the end of that
It's a lot
second
of
fight when
respect.
they're really, really bloody and like they're hugging each other.
You're humanizing these guys a little too much.
So
dude.
I imagine what it is like Godzilla's never like he got the shit kicked out of him at the end of King of Monsters. Don't get me wrong,
Big
but
time.
like this has been the most formidable opponent that he's had. He's been put to the brink, and I think he just came from it being like, you're not like hurting these people. Like you're not here to do anything bad. You clearly think you're protecting
There was
the same thing that
a
I'm
realization.
protecting. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what it is like you grow a mutual respect through fighting. We're both alphas. In like Godzilla can go away from that knowing like he basically did submit.
Like he is. I am still the alpha.
Yeah, like he didn't formally walk away from me, but like he about as submitted as
Would
he
that
submitted.
make Godzilla Kong's landlord?
Yeah.
If he's
de-
living in Hollow Earth?
He's definitely owning space in his head, I'd say that.
Oh man.
So that this leads to it's just like the let them fight moment where
Let him fight! Let him fight!
Yeah, we get the release of Mechagodzilla, and it's in real time right now, Matt. I've just realized what I think it reminds me of when he first bursts out of the wall. You know the Power Rangers movie, like the newer one,
Yeah.
when Goldar's like walking through the streets.
Yes,
it looks
yeah.
very similar.
It looks very
for a
similar. I can
second.
100% understand that.
So that was funny, but aside from that, like this is a little too quick for my liking. The Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, that's where I drew the Batman versus Superman comparison.
Yeah, it's a bit too fast of a turnaround. And then I hate, this is what I was saying earlier, right? I hate the ending. I hate the way they end this fight because it does no favors to Kong or Godzilla.
Nope.
Right? You have these two like alpha as fuck people, but you establish like basically that they needed this idiot to pour like whiskey or something into a panel to destroy it. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you have the two biggest alphas. Like, I would have liked them to just team up and
I don't like the fact that what came to be the most powerful being was beaten by plot.
yeah.
Like it whether it's anime, whether it's TV series, it's one of the biggest cop outs.
Like these three characters that should have been caught like a million different times over somehow travel from like one part of the country to another part of the country and end up in the right place at the right time to pour this thing that they introduced. It's just all is a little too like convenient. When you didn't need to cop out to me. You could have just had the two of them. Like I understand they
have them work together.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of each other, but that's what we had all showed up for. Like their
The
team
fight.
We knew that they were going to fight, but I think we all kind of assumed
We know they're both good guys.
You can't end with them doing anything else but like the buddy cop team up, right? You need that to happen. I want the whole thing, and I didn't get that. Like it was awesome when Kong like knocks his shoulder back into place, and he's like, "Let's fucking go!" And they're like tag teaming with the axe.
With the axe. Oh
in the
my
fire
goodness,
breathing.
dude! When they charge it up, bro.
Yeah, like that shit's sick, dude. Like that was enough that I thought he was just gonna chop his head off.
Would have been great.
With that, and instead
why wasn't that
goes
enough?
haywire because somebody pours fucking liquid.
It's a cop out.
It's a big fucking.
You don't do a
cop-out,
service,
man.
because then the scene where the two apex predators, hey, you're on land, I'm on sea, like the acknowledgement of each other. It's just like, oh, you two are basically the survivors.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You got lucky, and now you guys have some respect for each other. It didn't play to the ending that I thought it should.
In real time, I was almost tempted to change my score. Dude,
really,
this is where like having like basic scoring systems for us and anybody I think is really difficult. Is that like you never have enough rankings.
No, but if you create enough levels in the building, you can kind of understand where you're putting your head at night.
See, I think that you are away right, but this is like somewhere in between for me.
All right, so I guess we're getting right into it.
Yeah, so it's like somewhere in between. I was initially like the feeling I had. So this is where I'm at, right? The feeling I had leaving that movie is the way I want to feel when I leave a movie theater.
Okay.
This is the type of movie that is meant to be seen in that larger than life environment, and I think that it left me with a really nostalgic feeling of what I've missed for a year now with movies, right? So I was very prepared. Like this was cake, dude. This was gonna be again like that confetti cake with that sweet ass fucking frosting, dude. Like I was ready for it, but the problem is like logically, there's a bunch of like gaps that I have along the way.
If you weren't seeing it in a movie theater, you'd probably have a different lens.
Well, and that was an immediate thought I had, right? Is like how much does this translate to not watching in the movies, and like do am I forgiving a lot of like logic gaps? But the other part to me is like, as a person who's grown up on 90s action movies, and I could name like 10 Steven Seagal movies if
Where
I needed
plot
to,
just
right?
didn't mean shit.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that there's a class of movies that you don't need fucking like to pick apart the plot. And do I think Godzilla vs. Kong is the movie that you should be like picking apart logic things? It's like the movie Battleship that had like Rihanna in it, right? It's like, who went to that movie being like, this
some
is gonna
things
be,
are fan service only.
yeah, like this is going to be cinematic glory. It's just it
Rihanna
wasn't.
doesn't have
So-
the rank to shoot that gun. Like
so
there's
for
all that.
enjoyment, for a
Yeah.
level of enjoyment, this is cake.
Yeah.
For actual movie, for some people, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna land chips. But like enjoyment level for me, how I felt emotionally coming out of it, it's cake, dude.
Yeah, this one for me, I don't feel as conflicted, and maybe it's because I watched it on my itty bitty shitty TV. This was cake for me.
Okay.
Because I came out of it knowing that I was going to watch it again, not knowing when, but knowing that I definitely wanted to catch it again, because maybe I was being a little too hard on some of those storyline gaps, and maybe I need to go back and watch the other movies to kind of get them.
But you did rewatch them.
Yeah, but I didn't watch the first one, and I guess the first one didn't really play anything.
It doesn't need to. I think
It's
you're right though.
interesting.
It's a rewatchable movie, and for the fact that one of the biggest positives I think coming out of it too is like it doesn't stay around as too long.
Yeah,
Like it's an easy 2-hour movie.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, so
like-
you get the 1 hour and 50 minutes,
Yeah.
which I think was perfect for this because we got just the right amount of action, just the right amount of dialogue, and it does make it so that it's forgivable. So this for me is a nice warm chocolate cake.
Awesome. Let us know what your rankings were at home or your rating for it was. Let us know what you liked, disliked. Did you see it in the movie theaters?
How did you watch
it at home?
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a really important question. Obviously, that's always on our minds. But let's wrap things up, Matt. Let's get on to our Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're on episode 3. I am 3 for 3 on watching these. I'm not making you people wait at home.
For those with good taste.